Right. So I'm trying to let my panel calm down a bit before we get into the stories. Hot stories here. We already started the discussion on the newspaper review. So what you're getting here is just a continuation of what we've been up to off the air, and of course the updates that I gave you earlier. Now, just to welcome people again. Welcome to Biashara Tuesday. If you're joining us for the first time, please do let us know. Una watch ukiwa wapi? Watu wa kwenu wanasikia aje? Today is Occupy Everywhere. Wameanza kuvaa boots, sneakers, wamevaa sweatpants. Kuna watu wamebeba maji, handkerchiefs. Tuambie kunaendaje and what they are planning for the day. Look at the papers. Have me your reaction. Ours here is to just react, predict, and also opine. So we give our opinions, we react to what the opinions here and the news here is saying, and then we try and predict what is coming up in the next few days or even the next few months. A lot of stories here. I have a total of four different dailies: the Daily Nation, the Business Daily, the Standard, and the Star. The side on the other side with Watimah Kelly and Ojwang Mariam. They are my panelists for the day. This gentleman will help me get feedback and sample. This is a sample size of Kenyans. So this is a representation of Kenyans. This section of Kenyans, wanafeel aje, hii percentage ya Kenyans ambao wako kwa show leo, wanafeel aje. My name is Richard Okenya. Please ensure you tag me on social platforms at Richard_Okenya. I will be coming through and giving you those comments. Mimi nasoma tu headlines. Hizi tatu niko nazo hapa. Ojwang, wacha nisome you have the Daily Nation with you. So I'll do the Standard and the Business Daily, the headlines. Utusomea hizo, and then you introduce yourself. We get Kelly to introduce himself. Alafu nirudi hapa na conversations, ndio. Tuanze na the Standard. The Standard says, running out of excuses. We have a picture of President William Ruto looking at his wrist, probably seeing how much time he has left in this presidency. Who to blame? It started with blaming the opposition to former Uhuru Kenyatta leaving empty coffers, to NGOs. Now we have Ford Foundation named. We saw also the government spokesperson in a midnight briefing some time back saying he blames people who are involved in the Russia-Ukraine war for funding the protest. So who is to blame? President William Ruto quoted saying, "We know them, they are sponsoring violence and against our democratic nation." Anaambia they shape up or ship out. Question is, why can't they just ship out if indeed they're the ones who are sponsoring the protest? That's the Standard. The Business Daily. Safaricom earns 40 billion Kenyan shillings from reverse calls. You have received a reverse call. Press 1 to accept. Press 2 to reject that. You've given Safaricom 40 billion Kenyan shillings. 2 million customers have used reverse calls. Voice revenue, which peaked at 95 billion for March 2019. Any voice revenue, Credo, scratch card, buying from M-Pesa, making phone calls, anything that is involved, Okoa Jahazi, reverse calls. Yani 40 billion of it went to reverse calls and Okoa Jahazi. And then 40 billion ndio wanyoleka airtime ya ukweli waka make phone calls. So in which of these categories do you lie? Which 40 billion are you in? That's the Business Daily. We'll have a look at that. They have the picture of Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa during a recent launch in Nairobi. Also questions on the role of Safaricom in the 25th of June 2024. What happened? Why was there internet disruptions and network disruptions, saying that undersea cables were affected, but international communities responsible for that said everything was fine. And then there was a massacre happening. Or it is said that a massacre was happening. So what happened during that time? Is it reverse call? Zilifanyika hiyo time ama nini ilifanyika? That's the Business Daily. Ojwang.
Is this man the serial killer of Kware? Daily Nation. That's the headline today. The PSAs and advisors on Ruto chopping board. The Star. Waandishi wa magazeti leo wameamka wakiwa wameamua wanasema ukweli. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ojwang Mariam. Na I'm very grateful for being here, Kenya. It's been long.
Yes, welcome
and finally
back, man.
we are back on the newspapers with the 4 eyes plus other 2 to ensure kila kitu kiko salama.
Yes.
Also known uproar as state implements 7 shillings fuel levy increase. He increase, we'll be talking about it tukianza kuingia kwa magazeti, has been raised by 39%. Ile road maintenance levy yenye EPRA wameweka from 18 bob to 25 bob chini ya maji.
From 18 to 25.
Yeah.
18 to 25.
Yeah.
What do you have on the standards, bro?
First and foremost, I can quote someone here saying, we want peace in Kenya. We have no use for anarchy, destruction of property, and loss of lives. We want to call out those behind sponsoring violence in Kenya. William Ruto, the president of Kenya. I want to remind our president that, as Martin Luther King says, true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. Even our national anthem says, justice be our shield and defender. And the good Bible that he reads every day in church says that righteousness and justice are the foundation of the throne of God.
Yes.
So if we are to have any peace in this nation, justice should come first.
Yeah.
Kwa majina naitwa Watimah Kelly N from Dagoretti North.
All right.
Nimetumwa niwakilishe Gen Z leo hapa.
Kabisa.
Asante.
Welcome to the show. Watimah Kelly, a youth leader, Nairobi County, as he said there. Mtu wa Dagoretti, maeneo ya Elechi?
Yeah. Beatrice Elachi.
Beatrice Elachi. Yes, Beatrice Elachi. Tutamongelea tukipata muda. But kwanza, is this man the serial killer? I did pose this question by the to people online na hata hapa kwa studio. Au watu mnaona hapa nyuma ya kamera. Kila mtu nimemuuliza, is this man the serial killer of Kware? Ananipatia jibu. Acha nisikie zenu hapa. Sitawauza. Najua majibu zao.
Sasa
tuanze na wewe.
Tuanze na mimi, si ndio?
Yes.
Mimi sasa kusomea majibu yangu pekee.
Haya.
Sawa. I got curious just by looking at the face and the role walipea huyu jamaa.
The role walipea huyu jamaa. Okay.
Wanamuita Collins Jomaisu Halisia. Sawa? Kenyans went online. Niliuliza nyinyi mnaona aje? Kenyans went online. They provided a photo of the same guy and he's not that name. He's Jairus Okundi. That's one thing.
Okay.
The guy inasemekana ameua 42 women. Si ndio? Between 2022 and 2024. But the residents of Kware wanasema Kanjit can die. Huyo hatumjui. Hatujawahi muona. So we move from there, juu inasemekana kwao Ushago ama Ocha ni Vihiga. Vihiga wanasema hata ukinua Ihiga la kwanza. Si Ihiga. Jiwe la kwanza, la pili, na zifike Vihiga 10. Bado haizi kwa wao. Unaona? Wacha nikuambie.
Yeah.
Hata ukue mbaya aje, watu wa kwenyu wataku acknowledge. Sawa? If they would ever talk about people who are considered bad in the society like Madheri.
Yes.
Watu wa huko side za kwa kina Madheri, they will still say, Madheri tunamjua. Na hakuagi mtu mzuri. They could have been telling us about this guy. Sawa. The evidence yenye ilipatikana pale hivyo, use of props. Jana tulikuwa tunaongelea kuhusu tulikuwa on a conversation na Beryl. She's a production manager. Props ambazo zinatumika hapo hivyo
kwa vipindi.
The two red panties. Kenyans online wanasema hapana. Hizo hazijawahi valiwa. Myself
brand new.
I wouldn't know
kama zimevaliwa or not.
But I have a sister. I have a daughter. And I have a baby mama. So
umeona hizi nguo.
Huwa nafua mpaka za mtoto wangu. So najua yenye imevaliwa, yenye haijavaliwa. Sawa?
Okay.
On Facebook, Kenyans kwanza acha unajua Facebook ndio imejaa watu wa hapa chini.
Wa Kenya halisi.
Haya. Audress Olunatek anasema huyu msee ataclaim hizo panty ni zake. Atadu. Alafu the guy went ahead and confessed. So this Kenyan knew he will
that
do
this
what?
is what he will do.
Yes. Haya, mwingine tu Shikoshik's Mary. Spotless, meaning they are new. Now Kenya note that this is Shikoshik's Mary, a lady. Between DCI Amin and this lady, who would really know how panties that have been worn and not worn look like? Haya, twende kwa mwanaume. Aitwa Patrick Oburu. Anasema we are not fools. Wajinga waliisha Kenya. mbio niende kwa Mickey Mouse Mapesa. Majina ya Facebook nayo ilikuwa kubwa. Hii tunapimwa, mtu mmoja aje mbona akapatikana haraka hivyo? Huyo DCI ni mjinga sana. So in English he is saying there is no way you can be a serial killer between 2022 and 2024. You manage to do that to 42 bodies, and on your 43rd body ndio unashikwa na una confess.
Na unashikwa after mtu.
Haya, kuna mwingine aliongelea kuhusu panga. Panga yenye ilikuwa at the scene.
Yes.
That leave alone it being sharp. Hiyo panga hata si blunt. Ni jinga, si butu. Ni jinga.
Sisi la habutu. Ni jinga. Haifanyi kazi.
Haiwezi cut anything. So how is it still the same panga that is chopping human bones? Maswali yanaibuka. Hapo ndo tulikuwa, si ndio?
Kweli.
Kabisa.
So, how this man managed to live amongst the people of Kware, a very densely populated area, had sexual relations with more than 40 women, lured them, ended up killing them, dismembering their bodies, living 100 meters from the dump site, na hakuna mtu kwa hiyo lokal anasema anamjua. When asked by the media to present or provide another photo of the suspect during the press briefing, Mr. Amin saying doing so would tamper with the investigations, but he said he will be presented in court during his arraignment. Ndo hizi pieces of things zenye zilipatikana, acha niseme before I get to you to answer the question. They included 24 SIM cards, 8 smartphones, 2 feature phones, so kabambe, 1 laptop, 1 hard drive, 2 flash drives, 1 memory card, 1 machete, 12 nylon sacks. Others were a pair of industrial rubber gloves, 1 pink female handbag, 2 female panties, 5 rolls of bang. 5 rolls of bang. 4 clear sellotape rolls, and 1 nylon rope, 1 reflector jacket, 2 title deeds, 2 notebooks, and other assorted documents.
Props ziko sawa.
Props ziko
sawa.
Ziko director amecheza safi. Yeah. Is this man the serial killer of Kware?
Absolutely no. No. And I'll add to what Ojwang has said. Kwanza kabisa the standard has ignored the story. Iko on the first page. Iko
page 10.
Why? Because hizi ni vitimbi. Hivi ni vitimbi. Why? All of you remember the one and only Pastor Mackenzie. What happened to him aliposhikwa? His own people, the local people came out and said Mackenzie is a good person.
Mackenzie ni mtu wetu. But ever since this guy was caught, no one has come out to claim that this person was good or bad. Or even say this is my brother or my sister.
Come to the neighbors. The neighbors are saying we've never seen this person. And yet the police are telling us he's been killing 42. He has so far killed 42 women in that house without the neighbors knowing, without the landlord knowing. Who is a fool here? I think they're taking us for a ride.
Yeah.
Look at what the police are saying. They caught him while watching Euro finals.
Yes.
Right?
On
Sunday night. And then the same police are telling us through the director of DCI, Amin, they arrested him at around 3 a.m. on Monday, following a thorough forensic analysis of the phone and whatever. So why are they giving us conflicting information?
Euros ilisha 12.
So huyu jamaa alishikwa 12, akaachiliwa, and then akashikwa tena asubuhi. On Monday 3 a.m. Those are the questions that we're asking ourselves as Kenyans.
Right.
Easy ni vitimbi.
Right. The name you mentioned, by the way, Ojwang, kwanza mmementioniwa hapa na DCI. Kwanza I was looking for your handle kwa hii press statement, but walinasa Gaidho. Memnasa hapo wamesema specifically one Francis Gaidho at F Gaidho 237 on his X account carelessly, with total disregard to need to verify information, posted the names, images and description of another innocent Kenyan by the name of Jairus Onkundi. Sasa Jairus Onkundi, kuna jamaa huyo mwenye unasema, sasa ulisema they put this image
ya Kolo.
Ya huyu Kolo Jomaisu halisia. Watu wakasema ni Onkundi. Onkundi ametokezea man.
Anasema
Onkundi yako 24 years. Anasema yeye alisoma Meru University of Science and Technology. na yeye anafanya kazi huko Parklands, graduate of computer science, na anahofia ameingia mtandaoni hivi akafungua 2x akaona wanasema yeye ni serial killer. So akakimbia hadi DC akamwambia jamaneni nisaidie. So hii kipindi inafika how far or what exactly is where is the acting and what isn't the acting?
Let me tell you how far the kipindi can go. On page 3, Daily Nation.
Yeah.
Court faulted for reducing charges in Mackenzie trial.
True.
Paul Mackenzie akishikwa juu ya story kama hizo zenye wanataka kuwekelea this guy, the actor, alikuwa na 191 charges. Sawa?
Yeah.
Saizi zimekuwa reduced to 12. Yeah. That is how far the
can go.
The case can go. But again, DCI Amina Nasahau, he's a Kenyan. Sawa? He was privileged kukua wa hiyo generation ya wazee na akasoma. Kusoma kwake hakufai kufanya aone ni kama hawa wengine wote ni wajinga. We have a whole generation of millennials who are learned. Gen Zs who are learned. And the work he is doing, it's not that they can't do. They can do it and they know how to do it. Investigations ni vitu watu wanafunzwa campus. Kusema wewe ulifunzwa wa kwanza haimaanishi sisi hatujui. Ni vile wewe information yako itakaa verified. Why am I saying this? Juzi sisi watu wa Roysambu, we had a Twitter space called for the people of Roysambu, a public hearing to recall MP Kamande Mwafrika. It started from 8 p.m. to 00:37. Sawa?
Yes.
I was in KM in Roysambu. Na nilipoamka, hata sikuamka by the way, nilipigiwa simu. Simu ya kwanza ilikuwa ya mtu wa Nduthi, ya pili ya mtu wa Nduthi, ile nyingine ya mama mboga. Ojwang, kuna mwili kwa reli. Sawa? It is still on the same day other bodies were discovered in which side? The quarry. The same day. So I went there as a journalist. And I heard this. I was doing the news. I started with the collecting the news, the citizen journalism way, and then now listening to witnesses. And they were telling me, kulikuwa na polisi hapa. But mimi nikiangalia sioni polisi. I went ahead and called Major. Major ndo mkubwa wa polisi, maeneo ya Roysambu, Kiwanja in Kawa West Ward. And he acted shocked that ajui kitu kama hicho. Mimi sikatai hakuwa.
Umefika mbele ya polisi na hawana idea bado.
Umeshika?
Yes.
Na naambiwa na watu kulikuwa na polisi. So I asked him, how come kulikuwa na polisi hapa na hakuna? Alafu yeye ananianzisha na story ya as unapanda towards that side, huko ni Kasarani. Away from my jurisdiction.
Yes.
So let's assume the police officers I was told were there, came and found it's not their jurisdiction. What are you supposed to do as a police officer?
You need to call the right police officers.
And don't leave that scene of crime
until they arrive.
You contain the situation. Mimi nilifika hapo hivyo nikipata wamama wako hapo hivyo wamejaa fedheha, aibu na wanataka kusaidia huyu mwanadada. Others wanauliza ni wapi tutatoa shuka tumfunike. And this is the information I was giving the cops and I was telling them how mama wakifanya hivyo wana plant new forensic evidence na kuficha the original one.
Yeah.
That's why kunafaa kuwa na polisi hapa hivi. The constitution is here. I've been going around with it. This one is from Kreko for media personalities and journalists. But hatukupewa tukae nayo hapa. Tulipewa ndo tuzunguke nayo watu wapate kuisoma. So I was giving this civic education to huyu major wa polisi. Sawa? Na watu ambao walinifikia from that point, including PA to Kahawa West MCA anaitwa Eric Ganya, told me that relevant authorities washaanza kufuatilia hiyo kesi.
Yeah.
Umesikia imefanyika hadi within my neighborhood. Manze nasikia niko na my life is not safe.
Yes, because it's just right next to your...
Ni vile tu I am not afraid, unaona? But my life is not safe. Unajua mimi nimepata information kwa nani after all that? Bado kwa watu wa Nduthi. So unashangaa ikiwa sisi tunaweza kupenya na tupate all this information. How come DCI hadi saizi hawapati? Sawa.
Yeah.
So leo asubuhi I was coming to work, I was using bodaboda, nilipo backstory ya huyo mwanadada. The story is viral everywhere. But the DCI bado hawana information. So the only piece of information sikuwa nimepata ni jina la huyo mwanadada.
Right.
Lilian Nyaboke is her name.
Lilian Nyaboke. She
was living in Ruiru with her sister. She was selling matunda. She was nowhere near protest and all that. She was a girl who had some kind of epilepsy. Anaweza kaa aanguke na vitu kama hivyo. Na alikuwa anauza matunda. Kama hauzi matunda, ako church. DCI bado hawajatupe such information or relevant authorities wenye wanafaa kunipea that information hawajanipe.
Lakini wewe uko nayo already.
Lakini tayari niko na that information. So that's why we are telling DCI, wacha kuona kama Wakenya ni wajinga.
True.
We know these things. Ndio maana hadi unasikiaga tukisema tunaomba kazi DCI. Kwani tunaomba kazi DCI kama hatujui? If this work can be done.
Yes.
The constitution inasema article 1, all sovereign power belongs to the people and shall be exercised directly or indirectly. Yeye kukua pale hivyo kama director of criminal investigation, asikae adhani hata sisi hatuwezi fanya
criminal investigations. Yes.
Ni vile yetu tumempe that
indirect power.
Pass.
Right.
Na anaweza enda home juu ya reckless ni drama kama hizi.
Kweli.
Vipindi ama unaona aje vile?
To add on what you said,
Yeah.
Maybe I think our Kenyan police generally they are used as a political tool. Ask me why. Leo hii wewe wherever you are anza kuuza bangi in your house hapo kwa hiyo kaploti. The next 2 minutes or 1 hour the police will be at your door. Umeshikwa unauza bangi. Washajua already unauza bangi. But when it comes to killings like what has happened in Kwari, what happened in Mombasa, Shakahola, the police are not aware. How? For me, I think the police are covering up something. Tumekuwa kwa maandamano, 3 weeks of maandamano, 2 to 3 weeks of maandamano.
Yeah.
We know that people got lost until today they have not been found.
Yeah.
We know until today people are still getting lost. And then tunaona watu wameuliwa kwa Kwari. And then you come up with a cover story to tell us that this is a serial killer that has been doing this. Why are you hiding the truth?
And then the next day you burn the dump site.
And then the next thing you burn the dump site.
Yeah.
Why are you hiding the truth?
All right.
So me, I think the police have failed us as a nation. From DCI. You remember the other day Gachagua, the deputy president of Kenya, he himself came out and accused the NIS, that is a branch of the police, for not giving the president the right information.
Right.
So if that information is coming out from number 2 in the country, what does it then tell us about the police unit of our nation? That's
true. Even the Council of Governors here and women leaders have come out to say that the people who should be investigated are the police officers at Kware. Investigate Kware police officers over Kware deaths. And coincidentally, the acting IG already transferred these police officers from Kware to elsewhere to allow investigation. Points out to hiyo kipindi how far it can go really.
Just to add that, when something happens, do you transfer people or you put them out of service and investigate
them while they're out
of service?
Hapo ndo niko.
Why transfer them?
So, for a judge, you see sio majaji, for a judge to convict this actor, Jumaisa Halisa, as a murderer, lazima kesi ikue proven beyond reasonable doubt. Sasawa?
Kweli.
Polisi wale ambao walikuwa haya maeneo when this was happening wamepigwa transfer. Hiyo ni kitu nzuri na ni kitu mbaya. First, hawatakuwa na nguvu kubwa ya kujaribu kufichilia evidence, ndio? Lakini watahitajika kotini na hawako hapo, si ndio?
Yeah.
Kitu cha pili, the scene of crime is no more. Why are you burning the scene of crime? How are you sure that those bodies were 42 if each day kuna mwili ulikuwa unatolewa? Meaning kama tungeendelea kufanya uchunguzi tupekuze hapo hivyo Kware, maybe we could have found more bodies.
But mimi sitaki upate. That's the thing.
Utachoma.
Yes. Sitaki ukuje upate.
Unachoma scene of crime.
Right.
Na unatuletea mtu unatuambia ameconfess.
So where is the likely, I think, just to now bring that conversation to date. So where is the likely source of these bodies? Hii ilifanyika lini? There's a question whether it's femicide, because even the Council of Governors here with Anwar Guru, they're with women leaders, na wanasema, crime against women, right? Because it's women and their children. So is this femicide or is this anti-government protest victims?
Imagine, hadi ukurasa wangapi? Ukurasa wa 7, Daily Nation. Bado hadi hapo Waiguru ameongea. Investigate Kware police officers over Kware death. Stop giving us other actors. Investigate how wenye mmetransfer. Investigate how. Hao ndo watatuambia ukweli kuliko kuhusu kila kitu Wakenya mmeniuliza saa hizi.
Kabisa. Kelly, do you have any maybe opinion on that?
We cannot for sure say it is femicide or the protests. For various reasons.
Yeah.
Kwanza ukiangalia the initial reports are saying the bodies are still they're not that decomposed.
Yes.
Some of them are still fresh. So if it is indeed femicide and this guy is the one responsible,
saying he has done
and
42.
he started 2022, common sense tells you either bodies zinafaa ziwe zimeoza completely.
Yeah.
But now these ones are fresh. Na tumetoka maandamano. Na watu wako missing.
Coincidence. Yeah. That answers the question. Yeah. I will quote one philosopher by the name of Domani Munga. He says that wale actors wa noma, hadi kwa movie, wale actors wa noma ndio huitwa killers. Sikuna kuwa na killer na kuna actor. Yes. Wale actors wa noma ndio killers, said Domani Munga, Ustadh Guru of the Cardinals. Now, the Standard. Tushajibu swali ya Daily Nation. If you have your own answer, tupatie. The Standard, running out of excuses. President William Ruto amekuwa akipoint fingers. Wakiingia, the first thing they said, empty coffers. Sema wale majamaa wa handshake wamekula kila kitu, wamemaliza. Akablame for the first few months, and then we had anti-finance bill protests last year when Honorable Raila Odinga was the one leading them. Akasema opposition jameni, mnanihangaisha, niache nifanye kazi. Wakamuacha afanye kazi. Akafanya kazi kama wako NADCO, wanaongea. This year youth were like, hapana, mmeongea sana. Hata sisi wacha tuwaongeleshe sasa. Msikuje, just like we were telling me earlier. Msikuje, sisi tutakuja huko parliament. We'll come to you, don't worry. Tuko na fair. So amekuwa kipoint kila mtu. Hadi sasa when the youth finally walifika huko kuenda kumongelesha, koleka hapana. Ford Foundation mko wapi? Si magari tu, ni pia kusponsor protests in Kenya. Who exactly is to take the blame of what is happening to President William Ruto? Anakuwa sabotaged ama hizi ni excuses, as the Standard is saying, running out of excuses. Ampati time ya kufanya kazi. Ken,
who is to take the blame?
Yes.
No one but the president himself. Kwa nini? When you apply for a job, you go for the job interview, you are told this is what the job entails. You're given the job. And then 1 month down the line, unaanza kuambia CEO, who are the wananchi now in this case, unaanza kuambia empty coffers.
Yeah.
After 1 month, unaanza kuambia Azimio na maandamano, etc. We blame the president himself. Why? Ukipatiwa kazi, when he seeks this job, he knew that he's able to take this country to the next step. Makiu, he was not a new person in this government. He was the deputy president for how many years? 10 years. Meaning he knew something about this government. He knew how government is run. He knew everything. Actually, it is said during campaigns, he used to tell people that he's the one who used to run the government.
Yes.
The other person alikuwa mlevi. Then and run the government, right? Now he comes in and changes his colors and says, I blame the former regime for leaving the empty coffers. Can I remind him that when Mwai Kibaki took over from Moi in 2002, I think I was born by then. I was some years old. Were you born? Yeah. When he took over,
yo mpango bado iko imepangwa huko kwetu.
Ndio hivyo sasa. When he took over, tulikuwa mahali pabaya. But when Kibaki took over, he sat down, formed his team, and he made sure when he's leaving the office after 10 years, Kenya was somewhere in the global map.
Yeah.
Right? Now, this one comes in and starts blaming people. Right? He blames the former regime. He blames the opposition. And then when now the people are like, enough is enough of your lies, enough of tumetenga, enough of tumekusanya, we need action. Now the Gen Zs come. First of all, ilianza kimchezo, and I can point out how it began. Kwanza, I think it began in Trans Nzoia, where we had something called Tawe movement.
Yes.
And they were against someone called, this someone is in government also, the Moses Wetangula,
the speaker of
the National Assembly.
Yes.
He's another Ruto in Trans Nzoia and in Bungoma. So they were telling him, we are tired of your vitimbi, we are tired of your bad leadership. They formed a Tawe movement. Kidogo tukakuja Wasingishu. You remember what happened? The students, the saga.
Oh yes, with the Finland saga.
With the Finland saga. Mercy. I don't know where that lady is.
Yeah. She showed up in a space during the weekend.
Exactly. She akaanzia hapo pia. They said no, enough is enough. We want our money. You promised us scholarship. Our fathers and mothers sold their land, but we cannot see the scholarship and we can't see our money. So from there now, the Gen Zs kicked in, right? And on 25th of June, actually that day should be declared a national holiday.
It should
be declared national holiday. So on that day, I think I was among the people, let me not confess. On that day,
among the general Kenyan population.
Kenyan population. They declared and said enough is enough.
Yeah.
What did the president do? In the evening, he came out and said, these are
terrorists. You guys are terrorists and criminals.
And criminals.
Yes.
I was there. The police are the one who began to riot. It was very peaceful until the police began to
cause mayhem.
They began rioting actually.
Yes.
They began throwing tear gas and water and etc. So it became chaotic. Nevertheless, the Gen Zs were on their goal to reach the parliament and say whatever they wanted to say to the parliament. They have that right. It is there in the constitution with the people of Kenya, right? So with all that, and you're still calling these people criminals, as in hauwasiki. So he has himself to blame. First of all, for the lies and for not listening. The signs were there. The signs were there already.
The signs were there for sure.
He never listened to those signs. I don't know if it is him or the advisors or whoever. It is his government. He ought to have listened before.
Right.
And then when you see even the finance bill, I remember the process was about the finance bill. The Friday that he was to sign the finance bill, he declined to sign the finance bill and send it back to parliament and reject it in totality. Why wait until when people were killed? Actually, he was saying 25, but there are more than 25. They were around 40-something, according to reports.
Yeah.
Why wait until people are killed? Why wait for the international pressure to pile for you to reject the bill? That is not leadership. So he has himself to blame.
Yeah.
And actually, let me correct this. He's running out of excuses. No, he's running out of lies and running out of time. Because Wakenya wamejanjaruka.
Wamechoka na hiyo maneno. So the editor of the Standard anafaa change hiyo. Running out of lies.
Yes.
Running out of lies is should and running out of time kwa sababu naona hapo akiangalia.
Ameandikaje exactly?
Ameandika running out of excuses.
Running out of excuses. So you asked who is to be blamed for President Ruto's misfortune and inefficiency. Ndakupea answers mbili before nikupea answer yangu.
Okay.
Answer ya kwanza ni the headline of the Star. And they have the first answer as who is to blame. PSs and advisors on Ruto chopping board. So Ruto himself knows that PSs and advisors have been giving him wrong advice. Mtu wa pili mwenye akona answer yako anaitwa Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. On the day when President Ruto held a press state press briefing, ndo waangushe mambo ya finance bill. DP alisema mwenye amekuwa akikosea sana ni DCI Amin.
Yes.
ni Nurdin Haji,
The NIS director.
NIS director.
Yeah.
Sawa?
Yeah.
Juu huyo ndio anampatia intel ya vile vitu kuko kwa ground. Intelligence.
Na ni kama hakumpatia intelligence ile inayofaa according to DP Gachagua.
Alimisadvise. Hiyo ni tofauti. Hiyo ni tofauti na kukosa maybe kupeana nini. Misadvising meaning I have given you deliberate wrong information.
Okay.
For example, I will ask you, maandamano yanaendelea aje? Ambiwe maandamano yanafandiwa na
Ford Foundation
na Rigathi. Hao ndo watu walitajwa wa kwanza wa kufund maandamano. Ikatoka hapo hivi akapewa information nyingine akaambiwa maandamano yanafandiwa all the way from Russia. Na Vladimir Putin ameput in all the effort kuhakikisha kwamba anamaliza nguvu za Ruto hapa nchini Kenya, because Ruto ameanza kukimbia na IMF na US wakiwa na Meg Watimah. Wakatoka hapo hivyo wakasema hapana si hao wana fund. Turudi hapa Kenya tuangalie these political ama MPs wannabes. Walimuita hivyo the guy for usema ukweli party, Boniface
MP wannabe.
Alafu wakaongeza our Canadian based Kenyan lawyer Miguu twice. Miguna wakasema ana fund. But wakarudi wakaona if these people had enough cash to fund Gen Zs to this level, then that cash was enough for them to be elected to any office they ever wanted. Miguna had ambitions for Nairobi governorship 2013.
Yeah.
Alianguka.
Ajabu.
Karibu hata asiende TVET.
Alianguka hata grade haikuweza.
Boniface Mwangi tried
alianguka
in 2017 to run for Starehe MP. Kitu ndogo hivyo, kama mtu ana nguvu ya kufund maandamano kama haya, MP haifai kumshinda. Lakini my brothers aliteleza. Na ile kuanguka alianguka inamaanisha hawezi fund. So now they have gone for those people with big money.
Yes, the 11th wealthiest organization. Yes. Wako na 13 point something trillion in terms of endowment.
Sasa hapo ndo blame game zimefika. Now let me give you my answer on who is really is to blame for President Ruto's misfortune. Nyumbani kwa wale ambao kuna baba kwao, baba ndo kusema always. Irrespective of what kind of democracy we have in that house. Kwangu mtoto wangu akikuja na ni duty yangu kumpeleka salon, atashukwa chenye atataka. Na akikuja bado aseme sitaki kushukwa hii salon, taenda kushukwa salon nyingine, itafanyika hivyo. Lakini wiki ya kwanza akikosa kushukwa na ya pili, nitasimama na nitasema hapana, this is democracy. It means you respect me as I respect you. Shukwa na unashukwa. At the end of it all, Ruto was still able to send these CSs home.
Yes.
Meaning he has power. Power even to dissolve that parliament. Power to listen to the people. When we tell you so and so is doing this, you listen to us. He came to Twitter space. That was stamping that wase niko kwa ground. If ako kwa ground, why is he relying on Farouk Kibet, who is trending on Twitter for misadvising him and being the face behind the killings of the Gen Z
protesters? Yes.
Protesters.
Yeah.
Why is he still relying on Nurdin Haji and DCI Amin mwenye wa Kenya hawamuamini?
Kelly?
Ruto knows what is eating him.
Okay. He knows the problem.
To add on that, he knows the problem where it is. He's on record one day in an event, I can't remember the day, but he clearly said he was addressing the PSS and some of the MPs. It was a PGE, I think, at State House. And he said, some of you do not know what is happening in that ministry.
Yes.
I even know better than you.
Yeah. It was the ministers on the day they were late to State House.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So President Ruto knew where the problem was, but he failed to fix.
Yeah.
Even he knows that the PSS are not working, but he's failing to fix. What is he doing? blaming.
Yeah.
Blaming. I'll call him a blaming president.
Yeah.
Yes.
He acts late. He acts actually very late.
And that is not leadership. In leadership, you're supposed to be not reactive. Actually, his leadership has been all about being reactive.
Yeah.
Reacting to some situation. Like now he's telling us the Ford Foundation.
And I react after.
I think he's so ungrateful. Ask me why.
Yeah.
The Ford Foundation is responsible for his state visit in USA.
In the US.
The last one. The last one that he had.
Uh-huh.
They sponsored him. The Ford Foundation is responsible for sponsoring some of his, what do we call them? Digital platforms, including some digital labs in some rural areas. Ford Foundation is sponsoring that.
Yeah.
And today you are coming in public condemning an international organization that has been in existence in Kenya since 1963.
It's responsible for his alma mater where he got his PhD.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now you are coming recklessly. I think that is bad. It's not good for diplomacy. He's the president of Kenya. He's not a minister.
Yeah.
He's not even an MP. An MP can be excused for saying that, but not the president.
Not the president. He should be aware of more information.
Of the consequences of his action and more so his speeches.
Yeah.
And I would not blame his advisors at large because I'm not. I don't want to assume that everyone around him is wrong. Lazima kuna mtu mmoja anamwambianga ukweli ama anajua what is right. But maybe it is him who is not taking the advice.
Yes.
For example,
the AG did say that he doesn't consult much.
Thank you for that. He does not consult the AG.
Yeah.
In fact, for the longest time, the AG was just seated in office while decisions are made in State House. So why are we blaming other people? I think it is him to be blamed.
Okay.
Look at the way the finance bill came and then it is end. He has MPs. Even before the bill was passed, he called the MPs in parliament. Who are the MPs? MPs are representatives of people. MPs are supposed to hear what the people are saying. The bill went through the first reading, second reading, third reading. And also it went through something called public participation. And I can remember very well, different organizations came in and said, this bill is wrong for the people. The people are not for this bill. I think that advice reached him. But what did he do? He called the MPs in parliament and told them, hii kitu ipite.
Lazima mpitishe.
Lazima mpitishe hii kitu ndio upate CDF.
Kila mtu 2 million yake.
Kila mtu 2 million yake mara hiyo pop.
Yes.
So this is a president who does not listen. So going forward, I think he should listen more than acting and talking.
Right. You mentioned something about the international foundations that is blaming Ford Foundation, which have been very active in establishing civil societies or even education spaces in Kenya, including the University of Nairobi and all of that. So the president is blaming an international, and you said, I remember that. You said police officers started rioting. Yeah, it was a peaceful march towards parliament. Then suddenly, police wameanza kuwa violent. So the citizens are rushing ahead to calm them. Like, hey, relax, guys. We are peaceful. We are peaceful. So let me reverse the card. Wanaita Uno. Uno reverse card. So I'll place this on President Ruto's table and say, I blame international organizations for sponsoring violence in Kenya. I am blaming the IMF for being the international organization that is sponsoring the money that is getting to the police officers who are doing the violence. Those organizations like the World Bank, yes, for sure, I agree with him that kuna international organizations zinaleta chaos kwa hii nchi.
IMF.
Na hiyo ni IMF, na hiyo ni World Bank, and the others where he gets the money, the ones that he tolerates, like Bill and Melinda Gates for any other agricultural activities. Those are the ones to point fingers to, not randomly calling out. But we'll see if Ford Foundation does give a statement. This is the place you should tune out to. Tukwambie wamesema aje. But that, I gave you an information earlier pia on what the Ford Foundation is. So if you roll back this show, kuna mahali, I gave you a rundown of their history, which places you can find the spaces, the amount of money they are worth, and why the president thinks they are sponsors. Nilikuwa naangalia hiyo information ya Ford, and I tried to piece a few things together. You mentioned Boniface Mwangi, who is also actively has friends in Too Early for Birds. Too Early for Birds got a grant from the Ford Foundation. So I think anajaribu pull strings, here and there to see who is connected to who. But that's so much guesswork for a president. Really. That's
not
too much
even
guesswork
for a president.
Yeah.
For a person who receives daily intel from NIS, daily intel from DCI, daily intel from KDF. it means Kenya has no enough investigators or the capability to investigate something as easy as this.
Or as easy as, is this man a serial killer of Kware?
Or as easy as, is this man a serial killer? At a time when we're still having abductions that you get abducted today, we call out those police officers, they release you on 0 count charges, leaving Kenyans begging the question, why did you arrest him?
Yes.
What intel did you use? And that's why Kenyans perhaps are asking FBI to come in and investigate these cases. We need Shida ya Ruto ni the whole system
that he has around him.
But kitu inauma zaidi ni how the the older generations are taking these things. That the youth are out there peacefully protesting for these things to happen, not for dialogues. But wewe mwenye ni mzee ndo unatokea unasema hapana, sisi tumeamua tunataka kuwe na dialogue. Where were you? Atukatai you were there in 2023 and all that. You have been there. You have been there and going the dialogue way ni ukweli tukapata 2/3 kwa nini. But we don't want that. The things that Kenyans are talking about today are not dialogue kind of issues.
Yes, it's
dialogue kind of issues ni issues kama tumetoka uchaguzi election mmetuibia. Na sasa tunataka tukae chini tuongee ndo mtupe stake. Imagine vitu Kenyans wanauliza, can you please do investigations into this police brutality? Can you please send these CSs home if they can't work on this? Can you please
reduce expenditure?
Yeah.
Anasema hapana.
And
let's
all
talk.
the president has to do is to say hii fanyike. Kwani wewe ni president na hauna nguvu?
Good question. Kelly, you had something to put in before we go to another story?
To add on what you said, when you see this blame game on who is sponsoring what, who is sponsoring what, it's just propaganda. And I know our president is very good in propaganda. But I would want to advise him and tell him to stick on one propaganda. Not coming and telling us it is Uhuru, it is Gachagua, it is Mount Kenya mafias, it is the opposition, now it is a Ford Foundation. If indeed he had that intel that these people are responsible, just the way they caught this serial killer, trust me, someone would be inside now.
From Ford Foundation.
From Ford Foundation. Or in Kenya, where the money went. Let's even leave the Ford Foundation.
Whoever received the money.
Walileta pesa, sindio? Kuna mtu alipokea. Akatugawia, sindio? That person would be somewhere.
Yes, the accounts should be frozen.
Exactly.
We should be knowing who those are.
Yes.
Wangekuwa shareiniwa. There's a lot of activity which should be done. Action.
Thank you. So hii propaganda tuambia hapa kuhusu Ford Foundation, hatutaki kusikia. What we want is accountability from the president. Right?
All right.
Finally, on the police brutality, hii vitu ilianza kitambo. I remember in 1990, it was a 7th July 1990. One Timothy Njoya, he's a pastor, a retired pastor now. I don't know if he's still alive.
He is alive. Reverend Njoya is alive.
Reverend Njoya.
Yes.
On a pulpit, alisimama akahubiri, and he condemned the government of Moi by then for some, what do we call it? It was about the politics of the nation. Multi-party. That was, He condemned the government. And then after that, he went to protest. He went to join Wanainji. That is how the protest began. And then they came to an end in 1992. So when he was out, he was thoroughly beaten by the police. Why? For speaking the truth and condemning the government of the day. So when you go back to history, that is how the police have been behaving. They are still behaving until today.
The same way they were in the 90s.
The same way they were in 90s. So I think that there must be a change on how they handle the truth, on how they handle the protests. Because the Constitution of Kenya grants us that opportunity to go and peacefully demonstrate. Right? So for them, it is simple. Give protection. Yes. And if these people are saying they're marching to parliament, accord them the protection until they reach parliament at the gate. If anyone now from that point wants to go in, now deal with that person. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Niko na
right.
point hapa hivi siwezitaka kusahau.
Okay.
As we move forward.
Okay.
As all these things are happening in the country, the biggest blame game has been played from the government side to the protesters side, saying that these Gen Z and millennials, whenever they protest, business are not happening. But remember, in the early days of this new revolution of 2024, there were protests and business were ongoing. Juu places kama hizo ndo ulipata yule security guard mwenye alifutwa kazi juu ya kuwacha watu waingie na kuwapea maji. Meaning biashara zilikuwa zinaendelea. Time biashara ziliacha kuendelea ni wakati polisi walirusha tear gas ama wakati goons
waliingilia,
ambao inasemekana alleged na kuna hadi videos za wakitoka City Hall waliingia CBD ku cause chaos.
Yes.
Let me tell you the real person who is sabotaging the economy. Page 8, national news for Daily Nation. Uproar as state imposes higher fuel levy. Sasawa? It is said that the government hopes to collect 115 billion this financial year through the higher levy for maintenance of roads.
Yes.
This issue was what people was among the things that or agendas that people were against.
Yes.
Public participation was done, and the former CES, who is now jobless, as most of these Kenyan youths, Kipchumba Murkomen, akasema hiyo iko kwa mpango, haita happen.
Alitoa hata statement press.
Na akatoa mpaka press statement. And now iko kwa gazeti. Mafuta yakaanguka na 1 bob. Hiyo mafuta kuanguka na 1 bob ni ya kufunga Wakenya ambao wamekataa
kupandishiwa taxes,
kujisomea katiba na kujijulia mambo macho. Juu kiingia huko ground watakuambia haki ya Mungu, rais ni mzuri, amepunguza mafuta kwa shilingi nzima. Wewe imagine kama unanunua mafuta lita 20, umesave hiyo pesa yote. The guy will forget that if levy kama haingekuwa imepandishwa kutoka 18 bob to 25, haingekuwa mafuta yange drop na 7 to 8 shillings.
That would now be a relief.
Hao ndo wana sabotage economy. Because mafuta yakiendelea hivi, then transport itakuwa expensive for those of us who use buses, Bolt and Ubers. Haya, hao wengine ambao wanatumia energy itapanda juu. So watu wanatumia stima, watu wa Visiagi, watu wa Vunyula, Bungoma na huko Shamahoho, they will be in trouble. Hivi Visiagi ya vitafanya vile vinafaa. Hospitali zetu, kuna hospitali ambazo stima ikipotea imepotea. Hakuna backup
generator with fuel.
Ni hospitali ya gava. Ni nani basi anaharibu uchumi ama anasambaratisha uchumi wa Kenya?
And this is
wacha sasa tuwaulize hata wao.
Watujibu basi. Kwa sababu this is now then leads to feed that same cycle, which is sabotage the economy with this. Wakenya wanaumia wanasema haiwezi. Wacha tukuje tuwasalimie kidogo. Alafu wakikuja kuwasalimia mnasema ala, na ni kwa nini mmekasirika? You want the country to burn?
Kujeni tuongee. What are we bonging?
There's no bonging, guys. I will allow you to do more submissions. Wacha nisome more headlines in the Standard. I'll read a couple of stories. I give one statement, and then whichever you pick to comment on, we can do that, because it's 9:37 in the morning. We have about 15 minutes at most to do this. So on page 2 of the Standard, blow to President Ruto after court nullifies appointment of KRA chairman. The one thing that I've also noticed, na nilisema, I actually had a whole show dedicated here some time back, where my whole introduction and the whole conversation was about unconstitutionalism of President William Ruto's government. Every appointment he makes, every pronouncements he makes, or most of them, end up to be unconstitutional. Juzi alileta task force ya debt. Sahizi kuna hii KRA chairperson who he appointed in 2022, a man facing corruption charges and other crimes of an economic nature, akaappointiwa kama chairman, wakaangalia tax zetu. The person who's taking a look at my taxes is a corrupt man. And hataki mimi ni evade, hataki mimi ni file deal. So this is a man that President William Ruto appointed in 2022. and it has been nullified by the court. I had a quote from the submission in that ruling. One person I want to really thank is this doctor from Nakuru called Magare Gikenyi. Magare Gikenyi is like the Okia Umtata of Nakuru. Amepeleka government back to back. Last week on Tuesday, we're also here. He challenged that task force. And actually challenged the task force, the dead task force. He's now here, also challenged the appointment of this man to KRA. The judge who was presiding over this case, wakati kesi ilikuwa inaendelea, aliambia jamaa ambaye anaitwa Anthony Mwaura ajitetee. Akasema yani nyinyi mnasema corruption charges na nimekuwa appointed na president. Mnadhani president hajui? Mnadhani hajui hizo vitu? And this is what led to the
wacha nikutekeshe zaidi.
Yes.
Before tuingie kwa kakaangu. Bado hamjasema who this man is.
Anthony Mwaura.
Anthony Mwaura
was the
chairperson
of the election
right
body
now
at UDA.
Of the National Election Board of UDA party.
Yes.
That's who he is.
Those are the political ties.
Pekee ni unconstitutional.
Yo isha maliza.
Hata msiende kwa vitu amewahi fanya. Oh, he is corrupt. Oh, economic nature.
He's in charge of elections at UDA.
UDA. Na bado, he's the tax man.
So where are my taxes going?
Ndio hiyo sasa. Na si yeye peke yake. The cabinet that was dissolved, when it was coming in, how many people are facing economic crimes charges?
Bunch of them, probably close to all of them, yes.
Almost half
including
of them.
criminal charges, yes.
Including criminal charges.
Murder
But what
related.
happened? Even murder related. But what happened? Some
They
judges were called somewhere and they were told, hizo kesi tupilieni mbali.
Yeah.
And it happened that way, they were appointed. Look at what followed. They failed even to run those offices.
Yeah.
Because number one, they were not competent. They were given those offices because they are friends
of the president.
To the president. Just like this guy. You remove the outgoing chairman of KRA was Ambassador Francis Mdaura, a very experienced person in the public sector over 20 years. You remove that one, replace with this comedian.
Election comedian.
Who is a thief.
Right, so that's page 2. Read for yourself. Page 3, we have something from China. Wanasema Mao stares upon China to date. Reflections of a Kenyan scribe. Chairman Mao married his first wife at 15. She was 19. Manza alikuwa 15. Wife alikuwa 19. What? His second wife was his teacher's daughter. Mao had 5 children and 4 wives. I'm trying to see what this story is about. Reflections of a Kenyan scribe. So this is someone just detailing the stories of Chairman Mao who ruled China kitambo. Unajisomea watu wa historia. Get into that. Page 4, from blaming opposition to NGOs, the story of excuses. Page 5, dialogue fails to start as leaders are divided. On Sunday, Azimio leader retracted support for the talks after aliambiwa Gen Z watamsalimia, sema hataki hizo salamu. A meeting of Azimio principals is also did take place. And they're saying a meeting of Azimio principals to take a common stand failed to take off yesterday. So bado hawajamua where they lie. And I think ODM finds itself in ODM, to be
tight
specific,
spot.
and Azimio in general, in a very tight spot where wako like, should we talk, should we not, should we go to the Gen Zs? Tukienda kwa Gen Z, appointments za CSS zitatupita. Tukienda kwa CSS.
Kalonzo Ataki on the Daily Nation wako na story about that. That is page what?
Page 5.
5. Page 5. Kalonzo keen to avoid Raila mistake in handshake saga. Raila became the face of establishment and inherited everything that was seen as wrong with that regime.
Why do you think Kalonzo wako against it?
Juu inasemekana one of the things zilifanya Raila not to be president in 2022 is the happenings between 2018 to 2022 after the handshake of Raila Odinga and the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. Na watu wengi, kuna watu hadi wa baba wenye hawakuchagua baba for that same reason. Juu kuna vitu viliendelea hapo hivyo between those 2 years. Saizi wanaingia kwa another handshake when kumewaka kabisa. Everything is bad. Hakuna mtu anataka kujiassociate nayo, unaona? But baba ako pale hivyo, ako between a hard rock and nini, inabidi aambiwe na ajezi. Bana agwambo tulia man. So kwa hiyo space ndo Kalonzo sasa na yeye anajaribu kuhepa
the wrath of the young
everyone is
people.
trying to sanitize
Yes,
to
themselves.
sanitize themselves.
Yeah. Also, I feel like he has lost out from previous handshakes. He did not benefit as much, and his biggest concern say ni tena mkienda hivyo tena mniwache nje. Yeah, so page 5 there, Kalonzo keen to avoid Raila mistake in handshake saga. You can read for yourself. Haya, so
you nimepata kitu interesting hapa hivyo case.
Lete.
Mzee Ogucha,
niambie.
Daily Nation wanasema that education, energy, roads will suffer massive cuts in the mini budget.
Which page is that?
That is page 30.
Okay.
Page 30 of Daily Nation.
Right.
Yeah, Tuesday date 15.
Date ya leo.
Page 10.
Page 10. Jo jamaa wetu wa machone
anaweza kuwa anaona zaidi. Page 10 bwana.
Page 10 na inakuja 30 mzee.
Page 10. Hii one inakaa 3.
Oh, okay. Hizo ndo typing errors ziko NHIF. Ati hii one inakaa
3.
Iko mpaka ABC.
Alafu inapigwa muhuri. So, education ita lose more than 30 billion.
Yes.
Juu itakuwa cut. Energy itakuwa cut 18.5 billion. Lakini shida yote haiko kwa mahali iko cut. You can cut this on hapo kwa kulipa mishahara, watu utahitaji wafanye hizo kazi. Sikia mahali wanakata. The cuts which mainly affects development spending. So,
okay. Not even
I
the current
told you
expenditure.
about how CDF and NGCDF money works. That you will, as a constituency, will be given, for example, Roysambu was given in the year 2022-2023 145 million. 60% of that goes into revenue expenditure. 60%. So 40% peke ndo actually huenda kwa the actual development expenditure. So hapa hivi Wakenya wamekuwa kilia, punguzeni hizi vitu, live beyond your means. Si umekuwa kituimbia live beyond your means.
Within your means.
Wanakata pesa, lakini badala ya wakate mahali kutakuwa na living beyond your means, wanakata kwa development.
Yes. So our questions should go beyond, and I remember last week on Tuesday Pia we have no problem with the office. We can have the office of the granddaughter of the prime CS. Inaweza kuwa shida ni ukikata hiyo pesa inaenda wapi, unapeleka wapi, na the question today is unakata wapi. And I think that's another step in which we should take in accountability. You're cutting this money, but it's on development expenditure. Recurrent expenditure bado inaendelea, which is payment of salaries and maintaining of some of these offices.
And international trips,
Right, and international trips as well. These austerity measures are there. Daily Nation hapa wameshow mali budget by zinakato. I had also earlier on spoken on the budget lines to the office of the first lady and the second lady, which were totaling up to 1.something billion. Hizo zimeenda. State House budget has been reduced from 9.5 billion to 4.3 billion. The office of the president from 5.4 billion to 3.6 billion, while the deputy president budget has been reduced by close to 50%, which is 49%, yeah? Ilikuwa 4.9 billion, imeteremshwa to 2.2 billion. So, swali ambayo tunauliza ni, hiyo pesa imekatwa, imeenda wapi?
Na
imekatwa wapi? Ukisema umekat pesa kwa State House budget, unaweza kuwa umekat mahali si yenye sisi tunataka ukati. Yeah? So pia unatuambia umekat hapa, umekat nini? Yeah? So we can see for yourselves zile places zimekuwa affected in the government trying to cut the spending by 346 billion. Hii ndio ile pesa ambayo ilikuwa inafaa kuwa raised by the finance bill. So keep your government in check even there. Na in the spirit of keeping in check, page 6 hapa ya The Standard wanasema governors wanaenda kufeel the heat as well. Gen Z wanasema salamu zinakuwa devolved. Yeah, tunatoka WhatsApp tunazireduce na kuja SMS, tunaenda to governors individually. So after we are done with Occupy CBD, here on page 6 you can read for yourself the young people who are given an indication to occupy every county headquarters. So governors, prepare yourselves.
On that,
yeah,
I urge Nairobians, Gen Zs, watokeleze.
Yeah.
There is a governor called Sakaja. Huyo mzee anafaa kwenda nyumbani. Sakaja, for the last 2 years, it is said he has paid over 2 billion. 2 billion. Hewa. While the real contractors out there are crying. Even contractors, I say this because I'm privy to some information. at some point, I'm a businessman. I've been doing business. People are afraid to do business with City Hall. Kwa nini? Utafanya kazi leo and you'll never be paid. I know of people 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, they've never been paid. When you go there, you are told no money, no budget. And every year, there's something called a budget and a supplementary budget. Supplementary budget is supposed to cover the pending bills. But when this supplementary budget passes and comes, it is used to pay other things. We still remain with the pending bills. So for example, if last year we had pending bills of 2 billion, this year you don't pay. They accumulate again and accumulate.
Yeah.
And yet we are using our money.
So you're using a supplementary budget to fund other things that are not pending bills.
Yes. And my question is, when you read the procurement laws, the government is not supposed to procure anything until there's a budget for it, right? That is the national government and the county government. So my question is, if this money was planned for this financial year, na tulijua 1 billion is going to buy newspapers, right? Then you float the process of buying the newspaper, the procurement process, advertisement, people tender, they go for opening, etc. Until the time of award. When the time of award comes, mnanipatia letter of award, I go bring the newspapers. By the time I'm getting to be paid, because it's also a process, you need to take your documents to a process. Before the process completes, ukifika hapo juu unaambiwa hakuna pesa. Where did this money go? And yet when you are...
It was budgeted for.
And when you're beginning the process, the money was there. I even stamped that the money is available. There's a stamp for money is available.
Yeah.
So where is this money going?
Right.
Listen to this. This is the main reason why Kenyans, after wamemalizana na mambo ya national government, wanafaa waingie kwa county government.
Okay.
The same question tunauliza hapa hivi. I ever asked people kwa ground, mbona kila wakati pesa ikitolewa inakujaga juu ya budget, lakini bado kutakuwa na suppliers watalia hawakulipwa? Umeshika?
Yeah.
Hilo swali niliuliza kwa sababu ya ukiangalia current news zenye zimekuwa, I think July, still bado July, that Sakaja had crossed what we would call a history line.
Yeah.
Ya revenue collection for 1 year, which was now at 12.5 billion. So pesa zinachukuliwa. Now, when it comes to kwa kupeleka, watasema tunauzia hii ama tunaleta huu mradi. Na huu mradi uko na budget yake, procurement kile kitu kitafanywa. But after ameenda, utasikia kuna watu bado wanalia. And one of the most important answers to me that I got was from the current chairperson of UDA in Kahawa West, upande wa Risambu. Anaitwa Peter Ngaroye Shege, who is also a former MCA in Kahawa West between the period of 2013 to 2017. Ndo vijana mara ya kwanza walianza kusema no, itabidi wazee tumefanya kazi pamoja ama mtuondokee kidogo. So Peter Ngaroye was explaining to us how things have been happening from when he started being in the city hall. That change of guard inakujaga na cartels wake. So kama huyu hakulipwa hapa hivi na ashindwe kufuatilia, kesi yake itaishi kujikokota akitafuta pesa zake. Alishamaliza kazi since enzi za Kidero. Ikatoka hapo hivyo. Watu wa Sonko kuna hawakulipwa suppliers. Alafu after Sonko kuenda, kuna wale ambao bado wali supply to the county government of Nairobi during the reign of Benson Wairegi and the then governor who came after the speaker of Nairobi was released his duties after a governor kukuja, Governor Ann Kananu. Hao wote hawajawahi lipwa. If hawajawahi lipwa, all those suppliers hawajalipwa, but they were budgeted for. Hizi pesa zote zinaenda wapi? Okay, tumetoka mahali kusema ya kwamba pesa zinakatwa za development expenditure. Hata hizi za current expenditure umeona bado zinapotea. We cannot explain. Tunapata pesa but hatupati kwa kuenda. 12.5 billion na Nairobi iko na 17 sub counties. Ziko na 17 wards. Iko na 17 sub counties na 85 wards. 12 billion. Kila ward katika hizi 85 since 2023-2024 financial year were getting 23 million. Umeshika?
Every ward
wakafanya ka project fulani. Hizo projects hadi saa hizi zingine zimestall, ward zingine hazina, yetu bado tunasikia kuna mabilioni Sakaja ameingiza.
Wow. Guys, very big questions to be asked, and that's Ojwang saying why we need to also take this conversation to governors, to devolve the conversation from fiscal responsibility or fiscal irresponsibility on a national level and then go down. Pale Kisii County kuna kitu imeonekana hapa, and I'll be unyo kwa unyo with my governor Simba Arati. Naona pale kuna shamba zinapotea na zimeonyeshwa hapa kwa the standard. Let me just read it before you guys come in for 9, your it was page 9.
Yeah, page 9.
Oh yeah, please read it before I get to it. Yes.
Auditor General, 18 billion Karo land may be grabbed.
Yes, land belonging to the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization risks losing 18.2 billion land to illegal settlers, and the devolved unit is constructing its governor's residence on that grabbed land. Kisii County government has taken over part of the organization's land. So, pelekeni conversation kwa county. Soma page 9, mjue Simba Arati mambo inaelekeaje huko kwa side za Kisii. Guys, it's 9:55 in the morning. I can only allow you one submission each ya kumaliza na itakuwa ka 30 seconds per person.
Ukinipe mimi submission hiyo yangu ya mwisho. Unaweza nikubalia at least niguzie hiyo story ya Kisii.
Kabisa. Yes.
Because I think you know Simba Arati came from Nairobi before going to
Indagoreti kwa huyu. Yes.
Before going to
Kisii County. Yeah.
He forgot that the other people he left in Nairobi. The youth. Most of them from Alliance. Simba was elected on being a Simba that he can deliver, not being someone who cannot account for money, such that even Auditor General is raising eyebrows
all the way from Nairobi to Kisii.
So what we should be reminding him is that if he is done being Simba, other youths kama kina Okenye wako Arati. We are all alert.
Yes.
If it's not now, then 2027, they will all be going home.
They'll be going home.
So nikimaliza.
Definitely.
People should be ready. Fellow Kenyans should be ready to always be bold and honest. And not accept censorship of true information. Why am I saying this? Ukiangalia gazeti la Daily Nation ukurasa wa 13, it is matters health. Social media giant TikTok is actively restricting adverts and content that mentions the drug. Ask me which drug?
Which drug is that?
Kuna dawa ambayo imetoka ya watu ambao wanafeel ni wanono.
Ozempic.
Wapunguze weight. Na itawafanya wote watapungua weight, lakini watapungua na wakuwe vipofu. Ozempic is primarily meant, according to Daily Nation, for treating diabetes, but has become popular and is mostly touted as a weight loss drug. Sasawa. A new study shows that weight loss drug, which is primarily meant for treating diabetes, is associated with the likelihood of getting rare eye condition that can make one visually impaired. The condition called atteric anterior ischemic optic neurosoma or a NION can do this to you.
Yes.
But TikTok are censoring this information. They will call it graphic content. If TikTok are not ready to let us be in terms of information, then
they can go with their platform.
Have the conversation of not having that Twitter at all in Kenya.
Yes.
We can all go to Twitter.
TikTok.
We can all
go to Twitter. Yes.
Okay, TikTok. Yes. Sorry. We can all have that conversation of not having TikTok because of such kind of censoring.
Right.
So what wataendelea? Our people have refused to be bold. Others don't want to be honest. So wataendelea kutumia hii dawa wakitaka kupunguza weight.
Yes.
Lakini wote watakuwa vipofu.
All right.
Tafadhali. Tufanyeni kitu
to stifle information. Right. Kwa area yako hapo na sasa nakupea 10 seconds.
So, asanteni sana watu wa Roysambu. bado tuko work. Asanteni sana kwa maombi yenyu. Watu wangu wa hapa KUTV Kenya, I'm grateful. Mmekuwa mkitushikilia sana. Okay, umefanya kazi nzuri sana. Yesterday I congratulated you.
Asante.
Today I'm here.
Yes.
Tukitoka hapa hivi, we will be on the streets giving a third eye, and jioni tutapeana hizo updates if on both sides. Kisha kwamba on KUTV mizizi ya habari tutaambia watu vile Kenya imekuwa leo and prime time.
Yes,
now we'll still do that citizen journalism on WATV, sauti na kioo kwa jamii.
Kabisa. Asante sana. Before you do your submission, kwa sababu wewe ndio mgeni wa kwetu, nataka ni tuonyeshwe editorial cartoon just real quick. Tuanze na Dula, Daily Nation. Mwangalie pale hapo kwa gazeti, mwangalieni it's all Ford Foundation's fault. Hivyo ndo Ruto anasema gari yake imegonga mti hapo, imepiga finance bill gari. Na huyu madamu wa IMF ambaye pia this is Meg with an IMF tag, job tag. Slow down, protests ahead. Alafu haku slow down. You can see that interpretation. I like it because it looks exactly like the one on the Standard as well. It's just Ruto still. And for this one, Asema, let me tell you, I will carefully select an excellent theme that will surely deliver my promises. Alafu, hapo nyuma yake ni chui. Hiyo ni arati. Namna gani? It's a fat cat, yeah? Ako kwa pocket ya deep state, yeah? Kelly, I want you to do your final submission at this point. Ni 10 a.m. So tushamaliza, hata tuko overtime. Just under 1 minute, please.
The Constitution of Kenya begins with a preamble that says, we, the people of Kenya, right? In Article 1, it says, the people of Kenya shall, and it continues and says, may. Shall
Mandatory.
directly and may
optional. Yes.
In 2027, we have an option to kick out the Parliament of Kenya. And I want us to kick out the Parliament of Kenya, all of it, because they have failed the people of Kenya a great time.
All right.
How will we do this? As Gen Zs, as young persons, we ought to come out in large numbers and registered voters. I remember the other day, he stood in Rongai and said, Tukutane 2027. I do not want to name him. So can we go and meet him in 2027 on the ballot paper with our votes and send these people home?
Asante sana.
Asante.
All right, that is Kelly all the way from Masaids za Dagoretti North, na ametusaidia sana. Is a youth leader Nairobi County alongside Ojwang Mariam, youth leader Nairobi County, Masaids za Roysambu, alafu na mimi hapa hivi youth leader Kenya devolved to Kisii County. Ama namna gani mzee? Rwanda votes as Kagame set to extend rule to 5 more years. Alafu President or former President Donald Trump survives an assassination attempt and is still back on the campaign trails. Alikuwa hapo kwa campaign trail. Alafu tutakuja kuongelea histories kwingine. Masaa imepita. Asante sana for creating time for us here. That was the newspaper review and the wholesome conversation on Biashara Tuesday. Remember, this is your best morning breakfast television show, a radio experience but on TV. You have fun, you get entertained, and you get informed at the same time. Keep it here at KUTV Kenya, on social media at Richard_Okenye. I wish you all the best in this week. May your profits be high, but may your humor be higher so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. I'll see you around.